Imagine discovering a technique so powerful that it managed to keep your blood sugars perfectly in range 24/7. Now, perfect is a very strong word, but I've been able to achieve 99% time in range for the past 2.5 weeks. Get this, on accident. Now, as a type 1 diabetic, that sounds borderline insane. It sounds like I'm lying, honestly. And that's exactly what the news anchor said when I was interviewed 3 times over the last 2.5 weeks to talk about exactly what I'm about to share with you today, which is how I keep my blood sugars above 90% time in range consistently, and I've been doing so for 5.5 years straight. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name's Matt Van de Vecht. I'm a certified master fitness trainer and nutritionist. I've also written a best-selling book on type 1 diabetes using some of the things I am going to share with you today that I know will help you to think differently about blood sugars. And most importantly, I live with type 1 diabetes and I experiment on myself. So what I want to share with you today is actually what I accidentally learned that kept me 99% time in range, which was a wonderful surprise. I got to be honest with you. Now, this comes with a big caveat. It's 99% time in range. It's not 100% time in range. In fact, earlier today, my blood sugar shot up to 246 milligrams per deciliter. Now, I got it down as quick as humanly possible, did exactly what I needed to do, and I got it back down into the 90s, felt great. But I say that because I need you to understand I am not perfect. 99% time in range is also kind of exciting for me because that doesn't always happen. That's why I'm making an episode about it, to hopefully give you some of those cheat sheet shortcuts that I wish I had when I was first diagnosed, or honestly a decade into diagnosis, because nobody tells you what I'm about to share with you. Now, that being said, I did go on live TV. I was asked to come on and talk about my book, The Blood Sugar Freedom Formula, because in that book I do talk about how to virtually guarantee 90% time in range or better. If you don't have that book yet, highly suggest you get on it and read through it, because it's got all of my secrets laid out for you. Very straightforward. Now, what I found actually was most useful in this whole 99% time in range thing is actually a piece of what I shared on the live news segment. In fact, the whole reason I found out that I was 100% time in range for 7 consecutive days is I was checking it knowing that they were going to ask me about this on camera. So I pulled up my clarity report on Dexcom and I was pleasantly surprised. And honestly, my jaw kind of hit the floor because I knew it would be above 90%, but 100% for 7 days in a row. I went on that once before and it was a chore. So, to do that accidentally was, it made my day. I'll be honest with you. I still get excited about this. If I took a screenshot, I get excited about this too, okay? Even when it's expected, it's still fun to see. So what I do want to share with you though is this gentleman, actually there's one gentleman and then another female who were the interviewers, the anchors, the news station. They asked me about what are the big secrets. And the number one that I gave them was that every blood sugar has a reason, and it's our job to put our diabetes detective hats on and to figure it out. Now, I know that's not as exciting as the rest of the tips that I'm about to give you, but that's the hard truth, is that there are puzzles to be solved when it comes to type 1 diabetes. It's crazy complicated. It is honestly one of the most chaotic diseases you can possibly have. And there is a lot of frustration, a lot of mystery behind blood sugars that is just not talked about. In fact, I've been saying this for the last 5 years at least, but insulin to protein ratios. You don't just need an insulin to carb ratio. It's all of the food that's in front of you. Fat impacts proteins. Blood sugars. Proteins impact blood sugars. Yeah, I make mistakes too. Fiber impacts how we dose for those different meals. There's so much to it. And I think the first step to mastering your blood sugars is just respecting the absolute absurdity of what type 1 diabetes is. The fact that we have to replace the job of an organ and do it 24/7. That's insane. So step number 1, get curious and stay curious, right? Because every blood sugar has a reason, but it's going to be difficult to identify at first. Now, that's because we haven't been taught. We've kind of been let down by the medical system, not by the people necessarily, but there's just not enough time these people have to spend with us in order to personalize our diabetes management. That's exactly what blood sugar formulas do. It's why I preach this from the rooftops, that blood sugar formulas are the only way that you will achieve happy and healthy, where you can live your best life without sacrificing blood sugars. And vice versa, you can have good blood sugars without sacrificing your quality of life, right? So step number one, respect the disease, man. There's a lot to it. And if you start to unpack what's causing blood sugars to go up and down, I guarantee you will see better success. Now, number two, this actually happened live. I was chatting with this anchor who's sharing with me that sometimes he's anchoring and his blood sugars will get to 400 and you'll have to just sit there and deal with it because of the stress and the excitement. And he's absolutely right. Not that you should be okay with sitting at 400, and he's not. He knows that's something he needs to work on. But understanding that there are some variables that just seem ridiculous, like stress. So when you get stressed out, anxious, adrenaline is coursing through your veins before a race. Like for me, I race Ironman events. All these different stressors, things that increase cortisol and counter-regulatory hormones, can impact blood sugars and likely will. In fact, before I went on air for this live interview, I actually took 2.5 units of insulin, and my blood sugars still went up a little bit. It was crazy. So understanding there are variables underneath the surface that you need to consider. So for me, identifying those and actually putting math behind it, like knowing how much insulin to dose for stress, something that doesn't really have a metric, is a key differentiator. Now, other side of that, and one of the things that actually did help me to achieve this 99% time in range for over 2 weeks now. I'll even put a screenshot up. This was taken on Father's Day, wonderful Father's Day present for me, which was at 99% time in range average for the week. And then it says, which is the same as the week before. That's crazy. Now, what I'm going to share with you is something, again, kind of under the surface. You don't really think about this, but nervous system regulation. So on the opposite side of stress is calm. Right? So what I've actually been practicing recently, starting on my birthday, which was last week, so happy birthday to me, I started something new, a new practice, and I like to do this on my birthday each year, is pick up something new in order to try to improve or make progress in my own personal development. So this year, I've been stressed out a lot recently, doing multiple Ironman races, writing and then launching a best-selling book. Family life is just amazing, but it's busy, right? A lot of stuff going on. So I decided that I needed just to take a chill pill and calm down. So I thought about it long and hard, did some research, and found that there are ways to regulate your nervous system effectively. And it's actually pretty simple. So for me, my new routine that I started on my birthday, I've been doing it every day since because of the blood sugar response that I saw, is I get up, first thing, get outside, barefoot in the grass. This is called grounding, okay? While I'm grounding, and it sounds like woo-woo, super straightforward. Get out in nature, right? Touch a tree or something. First light is also important, helps to regulate your circadian rhythm. So your eyeballs need to see the light of the sun. Now don't look into the sun, all right? And I'm not gonna go super deep into this protocol on here, but I went through this with my clients and they found it very helpful. But get outside, touch grass, get in sunlight, right? So my brain knows, hey, it's daytime, we should wake up. Don't look at my phone. I do not touch my phone until well after this practice. While I'm outside, I'm doing some mobility, strength, yoga. Well, it's not yoga. Technically, it's called animal flow. Feel free to Google it. I love it. It's kind of like a strength mixed with yoga. And honestly, this is the first week that my neck hasn't hurt. I've had a severe neck injury for the last month, so much so I had to cancel my marathon and postpone my ultra marathon that I've been training for, which really was frustrating, honestly. But my neck injury got so bad I had to go in and get x-rays. They thought that there was something like a slipped disc or something wrong with my spine. So this nervous system regulation was meant for other benefits, but ultimately what I found is it had a profound impact on my blood sugars. less spikes after meals, more stable in between meals, better response to exercise and insulin sensitivity. It was fantastic. Now, on that note, we'll call it tip number 3 because I'm losing track of which ones I'm on. Increased exercise. So with my neck feeling better, I was finally able to get back into my workouts. So weightlifting, running, cycling. I haven't gotten back into swimming yet. That's not as much fun as it used to be. Ironman kind of ruined it for me. But getting back into exercise, my insulin sensitivity shot through the roof, meaning my insulin is going to be more effective essentially, but I'm also burning glucose during the workouts as well. My average glucose came down. My response to insulin that I injected, or technically bolused because I use an insulin pump, was incredibly faster. So when I would give a correction for any blood sugar that was rising, it would come right back down. Exercise is honestly the biggest tip that I would give anybody trying to increase insulin sensitivity or even just make blood sugars more responsive to insulin. It's like managing diabetes on easy mode if you can master your exercise impact. So I know a lot of people are scared to exercise because you go for a 20-minute walk and you get low, right? You go to the gym and maybe you spike to like 250. You're like, what the heck? Exercise is just this giant mystery box. But if you take the time to analyze your patterns and actually pay attention to it, there is a method to the madness. I promise you, if I can complete an Ironman and still be around and survive it, I promise you, you can get through a workout, a walk, a bike ride, a hike, whatever it is. There are patterns. There is a method to the madness, but understand that the journey there is going to be filled with a few ups and downs. You will have experiments or trials that end with errors. And you're going to try something new and it's probably not going to work great. In fact, there's a number of times during my Ironman training where I would try a new type of workout or a duration. The first time I did a 100-mile bike ride, it was terrible. It did not go well. Blood sugars sucked. Okay, so it's going to be a couple ups and downs to get there. But once you do, oh my gosh, exercise is the most powerful tool I've ever come across outside of insulin. And what's really cool, I gotta be very careful about how I say this, but some types of exercises are better than others and can actually cause independent uptake of glucose, like independent of insulin, which means you don't need to take extra insulin. You can just go for 20 minutes of that type of exercise. And maybe if there's interest, I'll make a video on that because exercise physiology fascinates me. That's why I'm a master fitness trainer, right? Like I love these topics and nutritionist. Obviously I like talking about food too, which brings me to tip number 4. Let's just keep going, shall we? Tip number 4, I cleaned up my diet. So I have a hard time. I'm already stuttering on this because I don't want to share it. I have a hard time with processed foods because I love not having to prep food. I like being able to just grab lunch and go. And I'm high strung in the sense that I need to be productive. I hate wasting time. I hate sitting there waiting for my pre-bolus. Like I hate prepping food. So if I can just have veggies ready, if I can just throw 2 ingredients together and have a pancake, which I do often. They're called Kodiak cakes. They're super good. But if I can simplify meals, I do. So for me, this was a hard one, but cleaning up my diet, more whole foods, even just making the switch to like black beans, for one of my carbs, high fiber, high protein. Great. That's one item. You don't have to copy me. Please don't. But understanding that when you clean up your diet, you do a host of amazing things, including reducing inflammation, which I think was one of the core drivers for my own insulin resistance. So cleaning up my diet, that was a big one. Obviously, in parallel with nervous system regulation, lowering inflammation overall, and systemic inflammation is certainly something that's affecting a lot of people living with diabetes. Now, tip number 5, I forget. Better sleep. I made it an absolute priority to improve my sleep quality, but also quantity. So I'm going to bed earlier because it was my birthday and Father's Day and the weekend all within the same week. I actually turned off my alarm a couple times and just slept until my body woke me up, which unfortunately, one of those days my daughter woke me up like at my alarm and I'm like, you couldn't even give me an extra 2 minutes. But I love her. It's fine. Side note, in case you guys are wondering, because I know you've seen it by now, yes, I have a black eye. And I'll even give you a closer look. I forget if you can see it. Anyways, that black eye, did come from my daughter. My 3.5-year-old fighter. She's amazing. And I don't hold it against her. We were roughhousing. I initiated it, and she dove headfirst into me off of her bed. And we collided. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's... breathe. You know, just like, chill out. Nervous system regulation. But I'm like, man, that's going to leave a mark. And it sure did. Thankfully, she's okay. She's hard-headed. Holy cow. She barely even noticed anything happened. But she was very thoughtful as well. She's like, are you okay, Daddy? I'm like, I think so. I'm going to be fine. But inflammation, right? That caused inflammation. Now that it wasn't too bad for blood sugars, but these are things you got to consider. Now back to the story. So sleep. She woke me up one of the days with sleeping in, getting a full 8 or 9 hours of sleep was amazing for my blood sugars. If you cut your sleep short, or if your sleep is crap, you are increasing your cortisol production, which is going to increase your insulin resistance, which is going to increase your insulin need. And if you're unaware of that, your blood sugars will run higher until you match that need, which leads me into one of my final points, which is the 3 levels of blood sugar impact. When I was on the news, every single time we found ourselves talking about the 3 levels of impact one way or another. Now, number 1 is the past. If I didn't sleep well last night, my insulin needs are going to be higher. I need to match that with either more insulin or something else that's going to reduce insulin resistance or improve insulin sensitivity. Level number 2 is the present. If you haven't caught on yet, it is 3 P's: past, present, and predicted. The present is what's happening now. So if I want to eat that sandwich over there, I need to know how much insulin to take now to balance out that sandwich. And predicted, if I know I'm going to go work out after this, which I am not, because it is 10:30 at night. That is my dedication to you guys, because I love making these videos for you, and I really hope they're helpful. If they are, by the way, take half a second, click subscribe, like it, drop a comment. Really helps the channel out, and I really do appreciate those of you who take the time to do that for us. But that being said, if I were going to go work out after this, I need to be able to anticipate what's going to happen. What's the impact of the exercise? Am I going to drop? Am I going to spike? How much? What actions need to be taken before I do that? The 3 levels of impact will save you so much headache. If you know what previously happened in the past that's currently acting on your blood sugars, like I did work out before dinner, so I am more insulin sensitive right now. In fact, currently, blood sugars are at 107. Beautiful. I had 110 carbs for dinner. The only reason that worked out is because I'm confident in my blood sugar formulas, so I know how much insulin to give, and 2, because I primed my insulin sensitivity with a solid workout. I went and biked 15 miles, and then I went for a quick little jog before dinner. Felt amazing. It was a great reset because, like I said, stress has been a little high recently. So here we are. End of the video. I hope this has brought you some clarity on a few of the things that you might do, but I'm going to give you one final bonus because you stuck around to the end, and I'd like to reward you for that. So the last piece actually was completely accidental. I know to look out for this, and thankfully I was able to mitigate the risk involved with it, but my basal insulin was too high. Now, big disclaimer here, this is not medical advice. Do not copy this. Do not use this. It can be incredibly dangerous, but because of my increase of insulin sensitivity from the workouts, I needed less insulin. I did not make the adjustment to insulin because I was hesitant to, and I was too busy mentally doing other things. So instead of changing my basal insulin to match my new insulin sensitivity, which would be a lower insulin need, my blood sugars ran lower, a bit too low, and I fed the insulin. So quick tangent here. Feeding the insulin means that your insulin levels are too high, which means you're going to have to eat carbs to not go low. If you find that that's your common experience, you might need to recheck your basal rates or your long-acting insulin. Now, final thing here on that is that insulin being too high means that I'm constantly dropping, means that my average glucose is constantly heading towards a low, and I just snack all day to bounce it up every time it hit 80. So my average glucose and my time in range got way better in the period of a week, simply because my blood sugars were always going down and I was always just bouncing them up. If you know the game called Keepy Uppy, it's when you have a balloon and you just try to make sure you're tapping it up so it doesn't hit the floor. It's more of a game with kids, right? It's basically that I'm doing that with my blood sugars. So every 30 minutes, a little snack, bump, little snack, bump, a little snack, bump. Now, again, I do not recommend that. It's incredibly dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, but I noticed that after the fact. Then I went and changed it because honestly, it's a lot of work. having to watch your blood sugars every 30 minutes, have a little snack. But I did want to share that with you because it's one of the patterns I identified, and knowledge is power. However, implementation is key. Okay, so if you don't have my book yet, the Blood Sugar Freedom Formula, it goes way deeper into all of those things. Highly recommend it. If you do have it and you love it, help out another type 1 diabetic by leaving a review on there. A lot of people obviously check the reviews before they make purchases. If they haven't found these videos yet, they don't know if the book's going to help them or not, and your review could be the reason they decided to give it a chance and finally hit 90% time and range themselves. So jump on Amazon, take 2 minutes of your time, leave a quick review, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out, and keep up the fight.